Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Premier Injuries Roundup. Of course, we're on the cusp of Qatar 2022, just less than 24 hours until that first game kicks off in the tournament. So I'm going to try and provide a comprehensive breakdown of all of the key injury talking points of all 32 teams ahead of that first phase of fixtures. So please bear with me. It could be a lengthy one. I apologize in advance for undoubtedly the number of mispronunciations I will come across. But we start off with Group A, and Qatar. Ahmed Ahalin picked up a knock during last week's warm-up win over Albania, but he is expected to be fit for that opener against Ecuador. For Ecuador, the only slight concern is Robert Aldebeloa. He's had a fractured ankle. He is not fully match fit, so he's still getting up to speed. Brighton's Jeremy Sarmiento, that was a slight muscle problem that kept him out of game week 16. He should be absolutely fine. No other main talking points within that Ecuador squad. Elsewhere within Group A, Senegal. Obviously, we heard the news on Thursday that Bayern Munich announced that Sadio Mane had surgery to reattach a tendon to the head of his fibula. Now, there was no time frame given on his potential return to play, but we're certainly talking about months as opposed to weeks. Initially, that injury was treated conservatively, and though he had been ruled out of those opening couple of fixtures, it was hoped that if Senegal had progressed, that he would have featured. Elsewhere within that Senegal squad, there's also slight concern over Abdul Diali. That's a knee problem that's kept him out for a couple of weeks. Like I say, he'll be very, very close, but he could just miss out. For the Netherlands, Memphis Depay, he's working his way back to fitness after a long-term hamstring problem. In effect, Louis van Gaal said he is injury-free. It's just a case of building up that match fitness and that match sharpness. So he certainly won't start in that opener, but he is fit and available. Right back, Denzel Dumfries, he's been past fit. He picked up that knock on the knee playing for Inter and that final game against Atlanta. Nothing too serious, just a heavy knock. Elsewhere within that Dutch squad, we know that Gini Wijnaldum, he fractured his leg playing for Roma back in August, so he is out of the tournament. Group B, and we'll start with England. Of course, all of the talk has been around James Maddison. He's been eased back out of training. We know in the build-up to this tournament that Brendan Rodgers confirmed that he had a slight knee problem. That forced him off at West Ham. Again, nothing too major, just a case of managing his load. England still have the possibility of being able to call up somebody else, but it's not something that I would expect at this point. The knee injury itself hasn't been made worse. It hasn't exacerbated in any way, shape, or form. It's just a case of managing his load, and that's why he's been out of that main training group. Elsewhere for Gareth Southgate, Kyle Walker, of course, we know he underwent groin surgery at the beginning of November. He's making good progress, but he won't be ready for that first game against Iran. Talking of Iran, Sadar Azum, apologies, was named in the squad by Carlos Carrera. That's despite being out of action since the beginning of October. So again, there's going to be a little bit of rustiness in there, but he is part of the squad. Odi Ibrahimi, he picked up a groin problem earlier on in this month. That's kept him out of the tournament. For the USA, Weston McKennie, thigh problem. He's expected, the first game's expected to come too soon for him. That could mean an opportunity for Luca De La Torre to come into that team. But himself, he's been struggling with his own muscular problems, so he isn't 100% match fit either, but he's expected to deputise. And we know that Crystal Palace's Chris Richards, who picked up that hamstring problem during that last international break, is out of the squad. For Wales, Joe Allen, last time he played was back in September. That's been a hamstring problem. He has rejoined the group as of Thursday. Again, it's going to be touch and go whether his involvement in the squad, certainly for that first opening game, we wouldn't expect to start. It'll look to Robert Page to decide how he's going to utilise I think it is the Swansea midfielder now, if I've got that right. For Group C, Argentina, we heard from Lionel Scalini, and he confirmed that Of those players that missed out midweek, none of those are major injury concerns. It was more a case of managing their load. One being of those is Christian Romero. He's missed out the last few games for Tottenham because of that ongoing muscular problem. And again, it's just about building up that fitness and that sharpness. We know that they lost Nicolas Gonzalez and Jesus Correa to injuries after they picked up in that 5-0 win over UAE midweek. Lionel Messi on the score sheet in that game looking sharp. Saudi Arabia, no major injury concerns to talk about there. For Mexico, we've seen the return of Raul Jimenez last time out, a 45-minute opportunity to try and improve his fitness in that friendly. Came through that unscathed. So again, no major concerns of there. We know that Seville winger Jesus Corona is out of the game. He's picked up that ankle problem. And this might be a good opportunity just to remind you, like I say, as well as these updates and the social media posts, you can always check out www.premierinjuries.com. We will have a comprehensive breakdown, team by team, all 32 sides on that World Cup injury table. Moving on, Poland, goalkeeper, Bartłomiej Drapczewski. Hope I've got that one right. He's broke his ankle, so he is out of the tournament. He was replaced by Kamil Grabara. You can thank me later for that pronunciation. So he's out of the tournament, but also Brighton midfielder Jakub Mola. Now, that was an ACL problem picked up earlier this year. It was always going to be a push for him to try and make this tournament. The decision was taken a long time ago. He's probably not due back until maybe February of March 2022. So no surprise to see him omitted from the squad. Heading into Group D, we have Denmark. The only main injury concern for them is over Andreas Christensen, the former Chelsea defender, has an ankle problem. But again, it's not thought to be too long-term. Brentford midfielder Christian Norgård, he's coming off the back of that Achilles issue, so he hasn't played many minutes for the Bees. So again, sharpness, match fitness will be the concern. Where are we at now? Tunisia. Nothing major to talk about with regards to them. Now for France, some of the headline absences in terms of Paul Pogba, N'Golo Kante. We also seen Christian Nkunku pick up a knee problem in training that forced him out. And there's also been a lot of talk with regards to Karim Benzema in recent time. He had been training away from the main group. Now, again, he played that down. He said, look, if I could play if needed and if pushed, but I wouldn't be 100%. There's no major tear, there's no major strain, just a little bit of tightness. But he is, along with Rafael Varane, again, returning off the back of a hamstring problem, is training with the squad normally. So there's no major concerns for there. For Australia, Scotland-based winger Martin Boyle, he's one of the biggest doubts for the tournament. We've seen Marco Telilo fly in as a potential backup or deputy in case Boyle doesn't recover from that knee problem that he picked up playing for Hibs last month. Elsewhere, no major sort of issues to discuss in and around that. For Germany, we've had an update as of Saturday to confirm that Niklas Füllkrug missed training session due to a virus, influenza. Technical director Oliver Bierhoff said that it wasn't too serious and that he did expect him to be available for the opener. The conundrum that the Germans have got here is that he came in the absence of Timo Werner, in the absence of Marco Reus. So they're really lacking some firepower. So they need him. Now, fortunately, like I say, it looks as if he's going to be okay. Lucas Klosterman, he played 35 minutes of their friendly win over Oman. I think I got that right. But coach Hansi Flick insists that it was a planned substitution. So again, no knock, no injury concerns with regards to that. For Japan, we've got a few here. Nakamina Yuta, who plays for the second tier Huddersfield in Championship. He's ruled out of the tournament and also season-ending Achilles injury. There are also slight concerns over Endo Wataru, which was a concussion, and also Marita Hedemasa, which is a calf issue as well. They missed that last friendly. Also, Takahiro Tomiyasu, the Arsenal-based player, wasn't involved in that game. We know he's been blighted by ongoing injury problems really since arriving at Arsenal, and he suffered a number of setbacks. However, this latest injury isn't thought to be a major threat to his participation at Qatar. For Spain, Jose Gaya was ruled out of the tournament after suffering an ankle injury in training. That prompted the call-up of Barcelona youngster Alexandro Balde. He's coming to the squad. The only other major loss that Luis Enrique has suffered is Mikel Oyarzabal. Again, you can thank me later for that one. Yeah, so otherwise, the Spanish squad should be fairly okay in terms of personnel. Costa Rica, nothing major to talk about there. For Morocco, Marseille midfielder Ami Harat was ruled out after picking up a serious knee ligament injury for Marseille. Again, don't know the full extent of that, but like suffice to say, it is long-term. So he is out of the tournament. West Ham centre-back Nayev Agard, he returned to the Hammer squad recently. He's been building up fitness. He was past fit and he is included as part of that squad. For Croatia, a defensive midfielder Marcelo Brozovic. It's going to be a long tournament, this. Is returned after recovering from a hamstring problem for Inter, so he's been past fit. Otherwise, there are no major injury concerns there. For Belgium, we've seen the absence of Trossard in that loss to Egypt. That was a minor knock that was picked up in training. Thomas Meunier is fit. Did again on the bench, did not feature because of that fractured cheekbone. We're still waiting for a definitive answer on whether Romelu Lukaku is going to be ready. Roberto Martinez said that of all of the players that of those injured players, they're going to have to prove their fitness and at least be available for one of those group games. If not, they'll be out of the squad. So serious question marks over the availability of Romelu Lukaku. He did not make the matchday squad against Egypt. For Canada, the main talking point has been with regards to Alphonso Davies. That was an injury that he picked up pre-tournament, and there were big concerns and question marks whether he would be past fit. But the Bayern Munich player has insisted that he will be okay to feature after recovering from a hamstring problem earlier this month. Group G, Switzerland. Here we go. Granit Xhaka, he was forced off for Arsenal in game week 16. He's been past fit. In fact, he featured in their friendly game. That was a stomach bug that was going around the Arsenal camp, so nothing major to worry about there. We also seen the return of Jan Sumner last time out. He suffered an ankle ligament injury back in October, and he came through that game without any major problems. Cameroon, again, nothing major to talk about there. For Brazil, of course, we know about those Premier League players who've been ruled out of the squad, Arthur Melo at Liverpool being one of those. That injury is likely to take around about 3 to 4 weeks. For my hometown club, Newcastle, Bruno Guimaraes called up. He picked up a knock in training, suggestion that it was Rodrigo or possibly even Fabinho who stood on his foot. Yes, it was painful. He went away, got some treatment. He was able to complete the session, and he has come through those subsequent sessions without any major problems as well. For Serbia, the big talking point is Premier League star Alexander Mitrovic. That was an injury that he picked up during the last international break. Played those 2 games, exacerbated the problem against Norway. Tried to play for Fulham against his former employers, Newcastle at Craven Cottage, on that following weekend. Lasted around about 30 minutes and has been managing this ongoing foot problem since. That caused him to miss the last 3 games for the Lily Whites. And Serbian media reports that there's actually further evaluations revealed that was a broken bone in that foot. But like I say, they're very hopeful that he will be patched up and ready to play in this tournament. Almost there. Group H, Uruguay. Edison Cavani, he missed Valencia's last 2 games because of an ankle problem, but he's expected to be fully fine. Mauro Amrabat underwent ankle surgery. That's going to keep him out of the tournament. For South Korea, Heung-min Sung, we know that he underwent surgery to repair an orbital fracture in his eye. That was an injury that was picked up in the Champions League. Now, he has been seen back on the training pitches wearing a protective face mask. Is he 100%? No. But Son himself's come out and he said he's prepared to take the risk to put his body on the line, and he will feature. So, like I say, that's good news with regards to that. You just keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully he'll come through that without causing any further damage. For Portugal, long-term absentee Diogo Jota, that was a calf problem. That's going to keep him out until early 2023. Also, Pedro Neto underwent ankle surgery. I think he picked up that problem playing for Wolves at West Ham. Elsewhere within the squad, Cristiano Ronaldo, he missed out that last friendly with reports of gastroenteritis, but again, he is expected to be okay for that opener. For Ghana, Stephen Ambrosesi, he's out with a thigh problem. No major issues elsewhere within that squad. And I think, if I've got that right, we may have covered everything. It was a big one. It was difficult, but we tried our best and we managed to get through that. So if you're still here, you're still watching, and you're still listening, remember, you can always check out www.premierinjuries.com for the latest in injuries from the World Cup across all 32 teams. And as always, you can always pop any messages in the comments box below, or hit me up on social media. If Twitter is still around, by the time you get a message, I will be at Ben Dinnery, certainly for now, until Elon pulls the plug. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the World Cup and keep in touch. We'll be dropping these injury roundups at regular interviews. So good luck, everyone, and see you all again very soon.